now for another important historical figure. I already mentioned him in my Origin of Species Theory timeline event, but overall he's so important I had to include him as a person, and that is Charles Darwin, more specifically his death. That's just what I chose to focus on. So Charles Darwin is obviously one of the most important figures, but not only in science, which is where obviously people know him, but also just in overall history because he's such an important name, and that's why I chose to include him on my timeline. He died in 1882 from a heart-related disease, more than likely naturally than not, and he is responsible in his lifetime for the development of scientific and humanistic ideas, like I mentioned previously, the origin of species theory, and he made people aware of the evolutionary process. He developed that model of thinking, which is extremely important and has extremely been beneficial to science today. And throughout his life, he traveled the world, and in the long term changed all of our lives in some way, even though we aren't directly connected to him, because it's still a continuous fight of someone's religious beliefs or someone's science beliefs, and how they can't really be complacent at the same time. So obviously he has an influence over a lot of people's thinking, and his work and studies are still very prevalent in today's society, because it's constantly talked about in our education systems. I remember learning about this in elementary school, high school, and college. It's been talked about in almost every single science class I've ever been in, and obviously it's going to continue to be talked about because it is literally the most important thing in science. And an important quote that I actually found from Charles Darwin that I thought would be good to end this with is, in a quote, "A man who dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life," end quote. But I think that is so important because he spent his life dedicating it to finding information on science and dedicating it to letting other people know where they come from and why we are here and why all that matters. And he's saying that we should be trying to figure things out instead of just wasting our time.